Kia ora everyone, it's Nikki here with this week's edition of Weekly Wisdom, Informative Strategies and Real Results. It's really cool to be with you here again this week, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen. I wanted to talk to you today about something that I did over the weekend, and this is something I don't do nearly often enough. I stepped away completely from everything and disappeared into the countryside near Kawerau. What cool countryside it was, and a place and a part of the country I'd never really explored before. We even made it out to Matatā, where the hot rod event had transformed this little seaside settlement into an absolute symphony of rumbling V8 engines and gleaming chrome. What a spectacle it was. I caught up with people I hadn't seen in years and spent most of the time as a very happy passenger in the stunning Pontiac. The windows down and the cobwebs in my brain completely flying out the window. Pure, absolute joy. The year and the specs of the Pontiac, don't even ask me. They escaped me entirely. I was just so busy enjoying and soaking up the ride. However, here's what stayed with me long after the engine noise faded. Stepping outside the usual rhythm of life reminded me how desperately our brains and bodies need time and space, not just to relax, but to genuinely reset and return to clarity. It certainly reinforced something that I've been sharing with families recently. When there's stress, it hijacks your thinking. It feels like your brain has packed a bag and left without notice. Your heart races, your breathing quickens, your brain fogs, and it's really difficult to think clearly. However, what most people don't realise, stress bursts typically only last a couple of minutes. The wave feels enormous in that moment, and the physical reality of that reaction is very real. Yet, it actually passes faster than we think. So the next time you feel that rising panic and overwhelm, and your brain starts to cloud, and your breath quickens, and your heart races, I want you to stop and just try this. Set a timer for 2 minutes, just 2 minutes. Stop, pause, breathe, and wait. By the time that wave passes, your problem-solving brain is back online. The brain fog lifts, and suddenly the next step not only feels clearer, but completely manageable. If you missed last week's YouTube presentation, you want to catch this one. My son Carl and I sat down together and shared our own lived experience with stress. We unpacked what happens in our brains and in our bodies when panic takes over. But more importantly than that, we discussed how to flip the switch back into problem-solving mode. It's raw, it's real, and it's practical, and you'll want to find out about that mental cue. I've also linked a short video showing a simple breathing tool you can use before homework time or any time that stress builds in and around home, school, work, the family, whenever. It helps both parents and kids reset in just a few minutes. If you give it a go, I'd love to hear what you noticed. Now, get revved up because I've got something special coming your way. Save the date, October 29th, 2025. That's when my next masterclass goes live, and it's going to leave the last ones in the rearview mirror. It's called Surprisingly Simple Strategies to Help Your Struggling Learner Succeed. And it will give you practical strategies, clear direction, and the next steps you've been looking for. There's no fluff, there's just what works at home without turning you into a teacher and having a regimented, boring, repetitive regime. Here's the thing though, it's so fresh I haven't even advertised it yet. So if you want in before anyone else gets the chance, just hit reply to this podcast and I'll save you a seat. If this podcast today has struck a chord with you, there's plenty more where this came from. I've written articles that tackle the real challenges parents face every day, from building a child's confidence or your child's confidence to setting up simple support systems at home. They're not just feel-good tips, they're practical tools that you can actually use. And you can find them anytime on my LinkedIn page under Nikki Palamountain or my website, dyslexiaunpuzzled.co.nz. Think of it as your library of clarity when things feel messy and overwhelming and you don't know what to do next. Sometimes, when nothing seems to work, I want you to know the problem isn't you, it's the foundation. Without that right foundation, every tool feels like just another thing on the pile. However, when that foundation is solid, suddenly everything else clicks into place. That's exactly what we build together in an initial meeting. A clear plan, a solid starting point, one that makes learning feel simpler and more doable for your child. You'll find the link to schedule that in the show notes. And of course, if you enjoy these weekly wisdom episodes, you can catch me on YouTube each week for more real strategies you can actually use. Again, there's no fluff, just stuff that works. Until next week, remember, sometimes you find the clearest focus when you ease off the accelerator and take a moment to breathe. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Please feel free to share this episode with someone who needs this, and it would mean a lot to me if you liked this episode and subscribe to my channel. Ngā mihi nui. See you next time. Nikki.